Good everyone, my name is Daphne Thompson, and I am here with the phenomenal Donald Kelly from the Sales Evangelist. Now, I'm not even going to try and introduce this absolutely incredible, life changing man. I would like you, Donald, please introduce yourself and just tell our audience who I actually have the privilege of speaking today.
Well, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be able to chat with you and your audience. Thanks so much for inviting me in. Means a lot. So as you mentioned, my name is Donald Kelly. My title is the Sales Evangelist, and I'm the founder and the chief sales evangelist here at the Sales Evangelist sales training firm. We work with clients all throughout the globe with helping them with their sales, mostly mid-size and upper level, like higher, more towards enterprise type sellers and sales teams, helping them to be able to figure out how they can hit their quota. It's a challenge, and it's been a wonderful experience. And we host a podcast, a popular sales podcast called the Sales Evangelist and Selling in Color. So two shows there. And my goal is really just to make it simple. We know that sales can become like it can complex selling can become confusing, and we know there's an easy way or an easier way, and our job and our goal with the content we produce and our training programs is to make sure that we take that confusion out of selling and allow people to be able to really thrive and succeed in their roles.
That is that is something that I've also realized, and I love what you said is to simplify things so that there's a repeatable process, right?
Yeah.
I usually tell all of my clients to kiss it. Keep it simple, keep it with a clear message.
Yeah.
But I know that you come from a really challenging background, and that
Mhm.
also shaped the way that you are right now. I strongly believe that sales is overall, and there's a whole bunch of people that can sell phenomenally, but there's no
Sure.
one that can sell the way that you do. There's no one that has your background, your uniqueness, your experience, and that is kind of who makes you you, and that is what makes you absolutely incredible at what you do, because that draws certain types of people to you, right?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the mistakes that many people make is that when I first started off selling, Daphne, I felt that I had to duplicate my sales trainer. I had to do it the same way that he sold. And unfortunately, I'm not that. I can't do that. Like I've been blessed with certain talents and gifts, and he's been
Mm.
blessed with his talents and gifts. He needs to do it the way that he needs to, and I need to do it the way I do. However, the principles, the things that he was teaching us was the same. It's just that my personality may not necessarily jive with mimicking him. And I think that's a critical component that people have, especially when you're starting off new into sales and in sales and they're trying to figure out what works. It's so simple, so easy to mimic when in actuality, you don't need to mimic. You can still have the same efficacy or actually way better results if you do it the way that is moldable to your personality. And that's how we especially tie with our content. And I'm more than willing to go into my background and some of that stuff too as well.
Yeah, please do. Please tell us where you come from and where your shift came in. I love to hear the backgrounds of people. I find it always phenomenally inspiring, especially if I see where they are now.
Yeah.
And you changed the status quota. You went up against everything that told you that no, you can't do this.
Yeah.
Screw it, you can. There's a mindset shift that had to happen, and of course, support.
Yeah, and I'm a big believer in that. I think there is the idea that we succeed by ourselves is, I think it's a silly notion. We succeed with the help of others. So we all need the guidance, and especially when you start really breaking into the upper echelons and start really being successful, you do partnerships and you connect with other people. So that's first. And then the other piece to that too, going back to the story, it definitely did shape me and where I'm at. I grew up in Jamaica. My family was, we weren't wealthy. And one of the things though is many people have probably seen with Jamaica, like it's a third world country. And one of the biggest exports out of Jamaica is its people. There's an amazing education system, and people will leave to come to the US or go to England or to Canada and take part in some of these amazing countries and so forth, be successful and take some money and put it back home or whatnot. So you look at some families who have great education, but they just never left the country. They can't just go out and go on Indeed and find an amazing job as easy as we can here in the US. So people figure out ways to do things. And with a bunch of intelligent people, they figure out entrepreneurship. So my dad was an entrepreneur, and fortunately, he was a little bit more successful. And my aunt, she would come to the U.S. and buy things like clothes or different household supplies, take those things to Jamaica and then sell them with a low margin so she can earn some more money. And that was a way that she survived, and also took care of a large family. And I got a chance whenever. So now in my mind as a kid, whenever I saw that people were generating money, it's not like they were going to Wall Street or they were a lawyer. It was they were creating opportunities and generating money. They were a businessman, as we would say in Jamaica. And so in my mind, I didn't see that as sales, though, Daphne. I just saw it as being a business professional, being in business. So that's what my goal was to always do. And I remember the first time I wanted to get some money, there was we had a store in our neighborhood, like a little convenience store, like a little tienda in some Hispanic countries, they call it that. And we call it a little shop in Jamaica. And the people across the street had one. Theirs was a little bit bigger. So they had some really cool toys at Christmas time. And this one was a guy on a ninja on a bike. And I was like, I want that. And I wanted to get the money to do so. I didn't have the money. So I started to think about ways. And how do you think about you getting money, Daphne? You go sell things, because that's what I've been programmed into. So my cousins had me pick some mangoes like the week before. And I was like, wait, I could climb to the top of the tree and pick mangoes. People like mangoes. What if I can pick the mangoes and sell them? So I started to try to sell mangoes, and guess how many mangoes I sold that first day?
How many did you pick?
I picked a bunch, and I sold absolutely nothing.
Oh my goodness.
So I eventually learned, and that actually is the story behind my book, Sell It Like a Mango. And that just comes out in May. But the point though with it, I started to realize I could try different things. So I got cookies and put cookies in baggies and try to sell those. And I think I made a little bit of change, but I ate more than I sold. But a point though, I started to realize I can get some more money. So now as this kept going on, when I came to the US, I gravitated towards this idea of entrepreneurship. I realized that's what it was. And people put the term, when I got to college, they put a term to it. They said, well, this is selling, Donald. You're great at selling. So I started to investigate roles and positions with that. And I did door-to-door security. I did sold dish network. I got people go to timeshare presentation. I guess the cap of my performance in college was I worked at a company where we did IT training classes, and my role was to sell the classes. And that was really fascinating and intriguing in itself. And that grew, and it put me into this excitement to when I graduate to go into B2B sales. But when I got into B2B sales, I had a really difficult time. I didn't know what I was doing. And I went through some training program and saw a hockey stick in my sales performance, which was very, very helpful. But even prior to that, like the reason why I had this drive now, Daphne, to be successful was because in high school, when we did come to the US, and I came as a 9-year-old, but as we grew up and we're here in the US, there's one point in our life where we were homeless. Like my mom just could not keep up with the bills. And I remember coming home that day and seeing that fluorescent green orange sign on the door. Actually, it was one of those orange ones on the door, and it said it was the eviction notice. And from there, I knew what was happening, and we packed up everything, put it in a storage unit. And my brother, mom, and sister lived with one of my cousin. We were houseless. We were houseless, but we were able to get into in our family's home. So we had a place to go there. Myself, I was living with another cousin in a 1-bedroom apartment that they had with his family, young family, like, little kids, and a couple of them. And they had a back closet area with a laundry room and with a bunk bed. And that's where I was my spot. And one of my friends in high school found out about it and told me come and, told his parents, one of my best friends, and his family took me in, and I lived with them in high school for about a year while my mom got back on her feet. But all throughout this time, I knew that whatever I was going to do, Daphne, I needed to figure out a way to make a success so that I can take care of my family and to never have us be in a situation like that again. Fortunately, we've never had that situation. I went to college, like I mentioned, started doing sales, which led to me having this tenacious drive. Like when my teammates weren't really pushing themselves, I knew I had to push myself. When my teammates were coming in work late, I knew I had to get to work early, because we could be back in that same position, and I would never wanted that. So it kept giving me this drive that I needed to take care of my family. And I continue to push that today. Now I have my own family, and again, unfortunately, We've been blessed. I've been able to help my family financially when needs came, but sales was able to do that. And it just came down to this idea that you started to say, you said at the beginning, your mindset needs to shift. And if you have this belief that you can thrive and succeed, you're going to do what is necessary ethically to make that happen. And
Mm.
that's the idea that we all need to have. We need to have that passion if we are to accomplish what we have been designed to accomplish.
I love what you said. You actually said so much into one, but the things that stood out for me is one, that you had a drive because there's a why. What is your
Mhm.
why? Your why is so big that you never want to be in a certain situation again, and you want to provide for others. And the main key for entrepreneurs is usually that they see there's a gap in the market or there's a need, and they come up with the solution of it. Now, your solution is sales. You
Yeah.
are the link between whatever the solution is that an entrepreneur created to the community, whichever community that might be. And
Yeah.
that's your why. That's what drives you. The second thing that you said that was really important was the training. You had to
Hmm.
get trained, even though you had a knack for something, even though you had a history of it, you still needed to invest to get trained in
Yeah.
certain things. There's a mindset shift that happens. And also with every level of income that you earn, there's another mindset shift that happens. Every
Hmm.
time a zero gets added to your income, the level changes, the mindset changes, the way that you need to approach this changes. So I absolutely love what you said. You hit on very key aspects that comes across a lot of entrepreneurs' journeys that makes it to the best, but it is your why. It's usually linked to where your background and where you come from, and then the training that you had to do to get to where you need to go. And I'm kind of almost certain that your training is not stopping. It's
Oh,
continuously growing.
yeah, you are 100% right, and there's so many different things that you were able to reiterate. That you're a great host to keep track of all of that without even taking any notes. um, the thing that I go back to what you mentioned, and I've seen this so many times. When you the level that you increase well, one of my friends put it this way. I learned that if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to change room. So every time I'm
Oh,
a part of a group of people where I become one of the most experienced, or I've learned a lot, or know more, it's time for me to get to a room where I don't know enough, where I can learn from other people, because that typically means my zeros are getting added to the back of
yeah.
my the income. And as those zeros get added, you realize there's different echelons. And the other beautiful thing about all of this too, Daphne, is that the more money you make and the more successful you are, one of the things that I come to understand is that it's not too complex. I've tend to always think that the mighty Oz is so big and great, but like referring to the Wizard of Oz, when you look behind the window, the curtain, Oz isn't all that big and great. With all of these people who are widely successful, a lot of them were in the right place at the right time. And then the other interesting thing with a lot of these people is that they know that the critical thing is to have discipline, and also to raise their level of thinking. And when you do that, like say for instance, if I want to work with, I remember when I first started off, I was thinking, well, I only could work with small business. I was really determined on that, Daphne, because I felt that I couldn't help people in a large organization. I was going to be seen as a charlatan. I was going to be seen as a fake, as a phony. Like I can't. How can I hang with these people? But then what I started to realize, a lot of people that were listening to our podcast were people in these large organizations. And then once I started working with large organizations and actually having collaborations with companies like LinkedIn, I realized they're just human beings just like I am, or just like the people in the small companies. So why did I hold myself back from going upstream and working with larger clients? It was because what I told myself here that limited me. I
Mm.
was in my own prison of success, and prison that hindered my success. And once I was able to break through that, like physically and literally in so many ways, I was able to see that our company is growing. Like, I mean, our numbers. Unfortunately, I'm grateful for this. Like, since COVID, I was really scared of what might happen. Had a mindset shift. Then that became one of our best years on record. Then 2021 became our best year on beat that year on record. And now 2022 out the gate is looking great. Like it's going to double what we did in last year. And a lot of it comes down to the simple fact that now I start to think on a higher plane, on a different level, that what is possible, and go further and try push myself beyond what I am comfortable doing, or typically comfortable doing. And that's the key, getting uncomfortable and being disciplined. And some of these really successful people, they just recognize those same principles and they do it over and over, and they're not afraid of failure, and they'll keep trying, and they recognize it's just human to human connection, whether it's a Fortune 500 or Fortune 100 to a 500 employee company or a 100 one employee company. It's the same thing. Human to human connection. Oh my goodness. Come on. Get me all
Oh
excited up here,
man,
Daphne.
I feel like you need to like get an amen in there. This is brilliant. Let me recap this. I loved what you said. Is all the successful people, they were prepared. They weren't just at the right time at the right place. They were prepared for that moment. It's the same thing as that when opportunity meets preparation, success is born. But you need to be prepared for it. You needed to be trained in it. You needed to be disciplined and in the sustainable habit forming of what you do every day in order to be at the right place at the right time for the success to be born. And that is what
I agree with that.
a lot of the entrepreneurs and the successful guys do. They continue with it. I also loved what you said about the limiting beliefs that you told yourself. Because that is, I call that, what you also, it feels like we're on the same wavelength there, because I call that the entrepreneurial jail. It's when you get yourself in this prison where you've created a beast, and now you're trapped in this prison with this beast, and now you don't know how to deal with it. And it can be that you just don't know how to go to the next level. It can be that you are so preoccupied with all the little things that is continuously happening around you that you never have enough time, or that you are so focused on the actual sale, but you let all your systems down. So now you don't make any profit. So it just continuously, revenue versus the cost that you have doesn't equal up anymore. So now you trap yourself in this thing that you continuously have to make new sales and more sales and more sales, but you're still not making money. And that's like part of that entrepreneurial jail and the prison that you put yourself into. So I love that you mentioned that. And that takes, again, get around the right people, because you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. You really are. And then the relationship that you form, the collaborations that you form. So now that you've broken through that and you realize that you can actually do business with enterprises where it was a taboo before, it's because you realize that all humans are humans. In every culture, in every nation, and everything. When I started doing business internationally, specifically in Japan, honestly, I felt like an alien. I didn't look like them. I didn't speak like them. I didn't understand how they act. The culture is completely different. They bow. I want to shake their hands. I'm like, what? So the minute I understood that's just the front end. But behind it, they are still human. It's human to human connection. It's exactly what you're saying. All humans across the board do tend to act exactly the same in certain situations.
Yeah.
And the minute you understand that, it is, yes, a business makes a decision on behalf of a business. But the person on this side and the person on this side still needs to click. You need to like, know, and trust the person in order to do business, no matter what the contract says. This is still 2 human beings that agree to something. And I love that you recognize that, because that's what makes a breakthrough session. And again, when you step up levels, it is when 0 step in. And again, I have to concur with what you're saying, is that happens when you are getting to a certain level of income and you kind of outgrow that. What are some of the emotional challenges that you went through? Just an example, if I could put, when that started happening to me, my biggest thing is my family doesn't get it. I started not understanding how to communicate with my family anymore. Or they were one of the people that mostly said, no, but you can't do that. Or Daffy, too demanding. Or so those negative talk was one thing that that was one of the most difficult things that I had to do when my levels start increasing. Because now there's no more connection. There's no more linkage. How did you handle that?
Yeah, great question. I feel one of the biggest component there is, well, I think there's a couple parts. One, I felt guilt because now this, am I worthy of this? And why I guess it's almost like I don't deserve it in a sense, because we've been conditioned, or I've been conditioned so long to think poor, or to think that it's, think this is our lot in life, that it was very difficult for me to get past it. So I think that was one of the emotional challenge in addition. But 2, also with other people, it was like, I feel bad that I felt guilty talking about my success around family or friends, because
Yeah.
they may not be this way, and they don't think this way, and they may not have this. And it's more of like I'm doing something bad or doing something wrong, and if they can't succeed, I should taper my success so that they
Yeah.
can be able to get there. And that's not cool. That's not true, and it's far from the truth. And I think it was one of the a hindrance for me. And sometimes, I'm not going to lie, it still is, when I have certain like lifelong friends that I know, like I like it's some I feel like I don't want to talk about the success or things that I'm accomplishing, because they don't have it, and it may feel like I'm trying to rub it in their face, or
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And it's, again, it's not true. And oftentimes the friends don't think that way. In actuality, what I've seen for many of them is that when I share things, because they know where I'm coming from, it elevates them to step up their game, rather than us being complacent and saying that this a lot in life. But in addition to that, I mean, there's all my lifelong best friends. I also have my masterminds of people that I'm able to think business with. And that mastermind has been critical to my performance. And it's,
Yes.
it's something that I'm a big proponent of as well.
I love it you said the mastermind. I am also a 100% supporter of masterminds at the same level, on the same group. I get energized when these people come around you and they start speaking ideas and they tell us what they've done and they tell us what failed. And we can tell them, oh, but I've done the same thing and this is how I overcame that. It is like a magical environment of energy, and you just like every time after I came out of a mastermind session, I have this I can do attitude, which is
Yeah.
completely different to when I speak to, like I said, for example, families or anything like that. There's one of the instance that I've been in a family business, which was amazing. It was growing, and then it hit a level.
Mm.
It hit a blockage. I came in and I, of course, did what I do best. I did the consultancy, made sure that everything is in place, increase our profits, and I was able to 8x the company's profit within 12 months. But when that happened, it turned somewhat sour, because now it was a thing about, oh, you think you're better than us?
Mm.
You're 20 years younger than us. How can you do that? And it came to a point where I was going, all right, this is what we've done in 12 months and the possibility that we can do with this company. I propose XYZ in order to scale it even internationally, because now it's possible. Now we've got the
Yeah.
funding, now we've got the backing. And the responses that came back was, well, the current leadership said that, well, I'm not the person to do that. And I'm also not willing to leave. I'm happy with what it is right now. And that was a very clear distinction in my career and in my mindset, and even in an emotional state where I had to make to say, all right, do I keep linking this because of guilt and sentimental value and where I come from? Or do I break through and fulfill the potential that I know has been put inside me, but now I have to overcome it alone? And I'm 100, and a mastermind actually helped through that whole process quite a bit to
Yeah.
get through that mindset, because that was a massive mindset blockage. And I'm sure you've been in similar situations.
Yeah. I mean, I think first off, like, congratulations on that 8x in a company in that short period of time. And that's amazing. And I think one of the interesting parts there too is, like, people sometimes aren't willing to change. You mentioned this earlier, like the status quo idea. Sometimes people are comfortable, and when we change, it requires them to change. And since people don't like to change, it causes them to get really frustrated. So one of the key that I try to think about and envision in my life is, am I doing enough to get uncomfortable? Because the moments that I'm not, it goes back to the stagnation of the company too. Like, if the moment that the moment I'm uncomfortable with growth, the moment I become stagnated. And we have to look for ways that we can grow and we can get uncomfortable in life. So, I mean, and I think you need to go back to the idea, the question there about the situations. Like, I faced similar things in my vein, in my examples as well. But in a lot of it, though, it came back to, like, what I just told myself between, it's what I was telling myself. And I had to get past my own blockage before I can really help organizations or help the group to get past their own. But I think so often, like, people neglect to recognize how much psychology is in our day-to-day business performance. We think it's just like, I'm not, I don't need psychological discussion or training. I don't need to improve my mindset. I'm good. But when you look at it, you are good because you're doing the same old, and it's important that we challenge and push and break through those.
I cannot say it better. So please tell me right now, in the Sales Evangelist, tell me, how are you currently helping? Are you still helping small to medium enterprises, or are you currently only aiming at the big ones? How are you helping the different target audiences? And then how can we get part of that?
Yeah, so there's a couple things. We don't turn down opportunities, of course. And the way that our program and our marketing is targeted towards mid-level and to enterprise type organizations. But I'll give you an example. We have cohorts the way our training program is set up is cohorts method. So, for instance, we run several courses. One of them is our Sales Foundation. It teaches everyone the full cycle selling from start to finish, how to A to Z, everything you need to understand about being an effective sales professional, prospecting, building value, overcoming objections, demonstration, closing, maintaining the client, generating referrals afterwards. That's our foundation program. We have a sales mindset program. We've partnered with the Pacific Institute on that one, and that's a phenomenal program. We have one on time management and for sellers. We have another one on enterprise business development, and we also have one storytelling, and the storytelling is one of our newest one, and social selling, utilizing like LinkedIn and strategies to accomplish success on that. So now with all of those courses and those programs that we have cohorts. So individuals, we have about 25 people per cohort. So they jump into a cohort. Those programs last anywhere from about 4 to sometimes 7 weeks. And we meet, they have modules that they watch weekly, or homework really. And then we have a group cohort training sessions where it's led by me or one of our facilitators for about 90 minutes to 2 hours. We do training and role playing and implementing things. So this week you may have learned about writing cold emails and effective emails. So then now in our session, you come with those cold emails, ideas that you have. We critique it. We give ideas. Your facilitator train and emphasize some of the module points that you've learned. And now you're able to practice and have that accountability. And so with that, we have small companies that will send, 1 or 2 of their employees, and we have a large organization who might send their whole sales staff to go through different cohorts that we have. So our marketing is towards mid-level and enterprise, but we still have, because of our remnants and our community that we cover and the podcast that we service, we get all types of sellers who find our stuff and find benefit with it. The principles are still the same.
I love the practical aspect with the accountability. If there's no accountability, people usually don't change.
No.
So that is a key aspect, which I believe is one of the reasons why you're so successful, is the accountability.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And then I saw that you launched your book, or that it is finally published. Please tell us about that.
Yeah, Sell It Like a Mango, a new seller's guide to closing more deal. I literally just got last week these copies from my publisher, Sound Wisdom. So big shout out to Sound Wisdom. But the concept, Sell It Like a Mango, my roots, as you shared in that story, when I was working with my book coach, Azul, he asked me, Donald, you can write a book on how to close or how to sell. Like, there's so many other books like that. What is going to make you unique? So we started doing a mind mapping, and then I told him that story, and he was like, that's it. Let's explore that. And he gave me some homework to go explore. And we came back, and I came back to the table with him. It was, it just made sense. And the principles that we applied was, look at me selling the mangoes and look at all the other people selling mangoes on the corner of the road in Jamaica. Like, what made these people so much more successful than this kid, Donald, selling mango? Right. Well, we were both selling the same exact type of mango from the same exact type of region. There may be different variation, but they're way more successful than I was. So I started to break that down and saw what they did to be successful, and we applied those to B2B selling situations. And funny enough, the principles still apply. Now, if you think about it, you probably have people selling the same exact service you do. And if you're selling software, you probably have the people selling the same exact software. In this day and age, the difference are not that huge as far as the features and benefits. However, The difference are typically the difference come down to the sales professional and the organization. So the concept here is how a new seller's guide to closing more deals. We're going to teach you, and from a B2B aspect, everything that we've learned from street cart vendors and them being successful selling. And the principles are still the same no matter what you're selling. So you can check it out, Sell It Like a Mango. You can pre-order it now on Amazon. You can get it delivered. It launches, start getting delivered on May 16th. And we have a pre-launch going starting in March. Our pre-launch kicks off, and we're excited for that. So I'm stoked. And you can find out more information. Just search Amazon to Donald C. Kelly or Sell It Like a Mango. You can start to get the pre-order there as well.
Awesome. That is brilliant. Thank you so much, Donald. I
Thank you.
loved our time together. What is one of the key aspects from your book, Sell It Like a Mango, that you would like our audience to leave with?
One of the key things that I'll tell you is that you need to show up, and you need to show up consistently. There's a part of the book that I share the story about when we were walking to school. Every day you find so many different street cart vendors or so many different people selling things on the side of the road. And sometimes these people would ask us, and ask us if we wanted something, and we wouldn't buy. I mean, the majority of time we don't buy anything. We didn't have tons of money. But the days when we were hungry or we needed something, I'm grateful those people didn't leave because they received a rejection from us, that they were still there and they were still offering the services. Think about it like this, and I pointed out in the book. That's what happened with most B2B sellers. A prospect reached out to a prospect, and a prospect said, "No, I'm not interested." Then all of a sudden they shut down and they don't want to prospect or reach out more. These folks who have those carts and those vendors on the side of the road can't afford to stop. If we are not interested, they know that there are hundreds of other people who are going to walk past their stall or walk past their booth today. So they need to focus on the next one and to keep their energy and keep singing and keep doing their chants and invitation for people to come. The point here is that we may not want mango today. It doesn't mean that we don't want mango later. We may not want your product. I may not be interested. I just may not be interested right now. And that applies to us as B2B sellers. That applies to us as entrepreneurs. That applies to us as individuals, no matter what walks of life we come from. We need to recognize that a no doesn't mean no always. And there are other people out there that need what we have to offer. If those street cart vendors had given up because my family had said, "We are not interested," and went and started crying, I mean, they wouldn't have been there for when we were ready to be able to make that purchase. That money would have gone to somebody else. And these folks have families. They need to take care of them. So they have a why that keeps them going. And that's one of the first principles that we point out in the book. And I feel that this is very well applicable to all of us.
It definitely is. They basically make the rejection and the fear of rejection their fuel. Yeah. And that is awesome. Thank you so much, Donald. I absolutely love that time together. So everyone, thank you for watching and for listening. Please do reach out to Donald at the Sales Evangelist. Google him, get his book, Sell It Like Mangoes, and I'm sure it will be a phenomenal part of your sales journey and to change your life to increase those sales and increase your profitability. Till next time, bye.